Hello everyone, this is John Galt speaking, here with a video about working with this new template called Multiplayer TPS Basic. So in this video I'm going to cover some of the manipulation of this template, mainly the assets. There'll be a couple other videos that cover things like changing the character meshes out, the weapon meshes, the particle effects and that kind of stuff. So I guess maybe we'll start with the weapon crates. Okay, so if you look inside the multiplayer blueprints folder, you're going to find a blueprint in here called BP item crate master. So to work with these, you just simply drag a crate out into your level like so, wherever you want it, and then when you select it in the level, by just selecting it over here underneath this, you see that there is a default section here called item 1 to load, item 2. These are the guns that show up on top of the crate when you play. So you can see this is currently set to none. So there's a list of weapons in here. They're called things like BP _C, which stands for child blueprint, and grenade launcher, LMG. Just make sure that you're getting the weapon and not the projectiles, right? See, there's some in here that are for projectiles. You want the weapons, okay? So for example, we're going to put a grenade launcher in item 1, and then in item 2 we'll put a sniper rifle. And then when I hit the play button and I come over here to that crate and inspect it, you will see that it has a grenade launcher and a sniper rifle on it. Okay, so that's how you work with those crates, and you could just copy these, right? So you could hold down your Alt key, drag a copy out, and then select it in the level, and you can just change this one to be let's say a shotgun and assault rifle. Okay, and we'll hit the play button, and now you can see that it's got exactly what we told it to have in it. See? So that's how you can work with those weapon crates. And then of course the player just has to come up, hold down his E key, and it'll give him the weapon. And now you can see he has the sniper rifle, and you can switch back, right? So you can put your sniper rifle down and grab that. So that's how those crates work. Pretty simple and easy to work with. I try to build all my stuff pretty simple to maintain. Okay, so the next thing that we'll talk about is the pickup system. Okay, so I have one pickup, one master pickup blueprint in here, and you can create any of these pickups from that one pickup. So to do that, you simply look in the blueprints, multiplayer blueprints folder, and you find the one called BP pickup master. You simply drag this into the world, and you can lift it up here like so. And then you select it in the world, and you have the same thing. You have a default section. Make sure you're in the details, not the world settings. And you can choose here whether it's a health pickup, a bullet, or explosive. So in this case, we're going to make this one be a health pickup. And it's kind of hard to select this thing. There we go. Amount to give, that's how much health do you want this thing to give the player when he runs over it. So I'm just going to put 25 in. Respawn timer, how long does it disappear for and then come back? So let's just say 5 seconds. The sound that it makes when you pick it up, right? And I have some placeholder stuff in here, so you can see that this will be the health pickup queue. And then the particle, that's basically the particle that spawns when the player runs over it. So if we look for health, do a search here for health, I have some placeholder stuff in here. This one is called health PS particle system, health pickup player. Okay, now the final thing is the visual indication of this. So to do that, you select the PS pickup here, and this is the particle that displays. So in this case, we're just going to make that be the health pickup. And that's it, right? So now we've created a health pickup. It's that easy to do. Okay, so the process would be the same for all the rest for the health and the bullets, but you can alternately just hold down your Alt key, drag a copy of that one out, and essentially you just manipulate this. Okay, so now this is actually going to be a bullet pickup. We'll leave these two values the same, right? But we'll change the sound to bullet. And that'll be the bullet pickup cue. And then the particle that expawns when you pick it up, we can change that to bullet. And you can see that this is the bullet pickup player. And then, of course, you change your visual indicator here from a health pickup to a bullet. Just like that. And voila, now that's a bullet pickup. And then, of course, if you want to do the explosives, oops, make sure that we select the object, not the particle, and hold down the Alt key, drag another one out, and we'll change this one over to be the explosives. Let's see, that would be the PS explosive pickup. See, it changed the visual indication. Then select it in the level, and this is going to be an explosive. We'll change this to give, I don't know, 5 explosives. You could change this, right? How fast do you want them to go away or come back? And then, of course, this would be the explosive pickup cue. And then the particle that spawns would be the explosive pickup player. And that's it. So now we've created pickups. Pretty similar to what we did here. So this is an explosive gun. So if I shoot up some ammo, and it won't give it to you in your clip, right? It gives it in your max ammo. So if we do a reload, it'll top the clip back off, and now it'll actually give us the bullets, and then it'll come back after that duration that we set. Pretty easy stuff, okay? So that is covering the pickup. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these out of the level here. And now the next thing that I want to cover is the doors, right? So this comes with the doors, and this is also, it doubles as a checkpoint system as well. So I built this little example map here for you guys, and basically it's a demonstration of how these doors work. So what I would like to do is basically just come over here, and we're going to drag a blank door in, right? So you find the blueprint in the multiplayer blueprints folder called BP Door Master. You drag it in just like that, and you can see that it's rotated, right? So if you want this to be the entrance of the door, you would rather turn it. So we're going to rotate this around 180 degrees. And maybe we'll just move this back just a pinch here. And this is a little complex, so you guys bear with me here. So essentially you select the door, and you can see that this has got a variable here called door end location. So this is the direction and where the door ends when it opens. So if you see right here, we have a variable here called door end location. If we set this to 500, you will see that it moves it up here. And then what happens is when you go to the door, it'll raise up the door to that point, and then it stops. Now, alternately, you could actually make these doors open any way you want to. So if we were, on the other hand, wanted the door to go down instead of up, we could take this value here and just reverse it to negative 500. Okay, and now it will go down instead of up. So now the door comes down. Okay, and you could make it open to the side too. It's your preference, just whichever way you want it to go. So I'm going to go ahead and set this back to 500. You just have to change the value. Like if you want it to open to the left, you would change the X value to negative 500 as an example. the mesh that I used for this door is 500 by 500. So makes it pretty easy to determine where the door needs to end at. Okay. All right. So the next thing would be the room name, right? So if you guys kind of keep with what I've got going here in this theme, white door, green door, blue door, purple door, orange door, you know, kind of ramp up the difficulty each time by the amount of turrets and enemies that you put in your area. So you would change the name of the room right here. You could say, okay, this is going to be the white room, and you just simply do that and it changes the name. And then you could also change the color of the door. So let's say instead we're going to make this the red room, which you guys can do whatever you want here. So we would then say, okay, well, the door, we'll change that to be red. So 1 tab, 0 tab, 0 tab, and now we have the red door, right? So you can essentially just, you know, change the colors to correspond with whatever you name it. So let's go ahead and change this back to white room. Okay, now there's a couple other things here for the manipulation of this template. This door in particular, remember, it serves as a checkpoint too. So this is your trigger volume, right? So if you look right here, we have a variable called trigger volume. So if you just drag that over, you see what it's doing here? It's scaling the trigger volume. So this is the volume that the player has to enter to get the door to do whatever it is that the door needs to do. So that's the width of it, the Y. See how we're moving the Y? So you could do that. And then of course you have the Z, that would be the height that the player has to go in. And then, you know, alternately, you can move it. See, this door can be open from the front or the back because of the way that the trigger volume is. But if you literally only want this door to be open from one direction, you can actually grab the trigger volume up here and you can move it. See how you can move it independently from the door? And you could literally just put it to where it could be only open from the front, not the back. So once again, these doors are a little complicated, but I'm pretty sure you guys understand what's going on here. And you can move it up or down right here. And remember, the only thing that this volume right here does is activate the door to open, right? That's essentially what it does. Now, the next thing about this door, since it serves as a checkpoint too, there is another volume up here at the top of this. So the way this works is when it respawns you new spawn points, it picks a random spot inside this volume. So naturally, if you want the spawn points to be in front of the door, the new spawn points that it generates, if you want it to be in front of the door, well, then what you would do is up here, you would get the spawner volume. See, that's the name of the one at the top. You move that to wherever you want your spawns to be, right? So if you want them to be in front of the door, you would put it on this side. And if you want it to be on the back of the door, you would put it on this side. So in this case, we're just going to put it on the front of the door. And then you have the same settings with this, right? So if you select it, you see that you have a spawner volume extents. And once again, you just move it by dragging it left and right. And that's the circumference that it will pick random spots to spawn your spawn points, right? So you need to size this pretty big. Try to make sure that you're not overlapping here, which really it doesn't matter. I mean, theoretically, you could make it spawn some on this side and some on this side. But generally, that's the way I do it, like that. And if it's, you know, too close to this here, you would want to pick your spawner volume and you could just move it, right? So move it a little bit more that way. Or you could offset it, move it over here this way. And this is where, once again, what it does is it will just at random spawn new spawn points down here on the ground, not in the air, down here on the ground. It'll pick some random spots in this box to spawn the spawn points, the new ones. Okay. Now, a little bit more manipulation about this door. If you select the door in the level, you're going to see that number of player starts. So when it randomly generates your player starts, your new player starts, how many of them do you want? That's what this is. So this supports 5 players. So I generally set it to give 5 random spawn points. And then, of course, you can adjust the door speed here. That's the speed at which the door moves up and down, or left and right, whichever way you do it. And then another thing, too, is that you can change the sound effects of this if you choose to. Up here, you can see that we have a door-activated sound loop. You can select that, and you could change it to be something different than what I use. And then there's also a door stop sound. You know how it goes up, it goes zzz, and then it goes tsh. Well, that sound effect, you could also change that too. That's not exposed here, so you would actually have to go into the blueprint to change that one. Door stop sound, you could expose it here if you want to by just clicking this box, but I didn't figure, there would be that much reason to manipulate that, but you could do that. And by doing that, now you see that you can actually change the door stop cue to a different sound effect outside of the blueprint if you choose to. The final thing about this door, very important thing, at some point during your level creation, you're going to come to a point that you want to end this level and open a new one. In this instance, you see that we went through the purple door. This is the orange room. This is the last room right here. And then when you work your way through this room, you're going to come to the end, which is right here. And I named this door Map Travel. Okay. And so one important thing to know about these doors is if the door is meant to be the last door and you're ready to go from this level to another level, the only thing you need to make sure is that door, you set this variable here to be true. That is what allows it to initiate map travel. So every door that you create, except the last one, this should be false, right? So you could have 100 doors if you want to, but at some point you're going to want to leave this map and go to a new one. When you do, that last door that you put in, you just simply make sure everything's set up the same, really, except you just, okay, this one's going to be the one that allows us to leave this map and go to another. Okay? And that basically covers the door / checkpoint system here, all combined into one blueprint. It controls access to areas, right? If you don't want players to go into an area, you could lock it. You could also make it and add logic to it to make it where you actually have to have an object. Like you kill one of these enemies, and when you kill the very last one, it gives you an object. And then when you overlap the door, you would check to see if that player has that object. And if it does, well, then you allow the door to open. But once again, that's beyond the scope of what this template is for. It is called Multiplayer TPS Basic. So I tried to keep it as generic as possible, but it's easy to go in here after you dig around in these blueprints and understand how these things work. It's pretty easy to add things on top of this. Okay. All right. So that covers the door. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Now we need to kind of talk about the auto turret, right? So you simply drag the master into your level like so. You can rotate it however which way you want it to be facing. Then when you select it in the level, same as with all these other blueprints, there's some settings here that you can fiddle with. So you could change the color of the turret. You can pick which projectile it uses. So in this case, I already have one in here called BPC projectile turret. So we can go ahead and just assign that. These are destructible, so you can define how much health these turrets have here. The radius, this is the detection radius of the turret. Same as with these others, you just crank this value up here, and you will see that the sphere starts growing, and you basically just make that however big you want this turret to be able to detect people, players, enemies. Rate of fire, that's how often it shoots when it has a target. I would suggest that you guys kind of keep it around that because this thing is quite lethal. Then you can change the firing sound, and basically I've already included one in here. You just type turret and you will see that, okay, so here is the turret fire sound cue, and then you can put in a muzzle flash, and I basically already put some placeholder stuff in here, so this would be the turret muzzle flash there. Let's see, what else is there? I'm forgetting something here. Oh, inside the blueprint itself, there's some things in here that you can manipulate. As an example, the burning sound, right? See, that's not exposed, but we could, right? So there's an explosion sound, we could expose that. Explosion particle, we could expose that. Burning sound, we could expose that, and we could also expose the burning particle. Some of these things, guys, I just didn't expose. But by doing what we did, by clicking these little eye icons, that's what gives you the ability to manipulate those things in the level. So now you see when I select the turret in the level, now you see we have some things in here we didn't have before. So essentially, what sound does it make when this turret is destroyed, right? And I included some placeholder stuff. What particle does it play when the turret explodes? And the sound it makes when it's burning, it's destroyed, it's sitting there burning. And what is the particle effect that is displayed while it's destroyed? So I didn't expose those, but you can easily do that and then make it where you can change that by just selecting it in the level and not have to go into the master blueprint to change those things. And that basically is the turret. That's exactly how you set them up. Now the turrets that are in here, these are all already preset up, right? So they already have all those things set up, but you can just, same with the others, you can drag a copy out and you can change it to be a little bit different if you want. Change it to a different color as an example. Well, you see, you can make that one purple or whatever. And that covers the turret. Okay, so we're getting down to the brass tacks now. What do we got left in here? So the enemy AI, right? That's the big coup de grace. So in the characters folder, in the blueprints, you see that there is a blueprint enemy here. To set an enemy up, you simply drag this blueprint out into the level, like so, and you can rotate him, turn him, whichever way you want him to be. Select him in the level, same as with all these other blueprints. And there's some things about him that you can manipulate here. One would be his color, right? You can change him to be whatever color you want him to be. His trigger volume radius, so that's his detection, his vision, if you will. So you just drag that out. This is how far away he will be able to detect other players, right? So if a player gets in this trigger radius, he's going to be triggered, turn around and start shooting at him and chasing him. That's what that volume is. The weapon, this character can use all the exact same weaponry that the players have access to. So you simply select right here for primary weapon. You can pick, just make sure you're picking a weapon and not a projectile, right? So we're going to give this guy the grenade launcher as an example. And then how much health does he have? By default, they have 100. You want to make this guy a boss character, give him 1,000 health, make him hard to kill, right? And that's it, really. So now if I go ahead and spawn in here, that enemy's there, and he's going to wander around by default. But when we get in that trigger radius, he'll turn around and start shooting his whatever weapon it was that I gave him. He'll start shooting it at me. Now, of course, this grenade launcher is not very good to use for the enemies. Yeah, he just does his thing, right? And you can shoot him. He'll start coming after you, try to shoot you. He does his reloads automatically. And then when you kill him, that's it. Game over. He's dead. So that is exactly how you manipulate the enemies. And as you can see here, that's basically what I did with all these enemies. I manually placed these in here. I gave them what weapons I wanted them to have and what color. They all have the same exact health at this point, but you guys could vary that if you want to. And I believe that's it, right? So I think that covers the majority of the manipulation of this thing. Now, I did include some meshes and stuff in here for you guys, placeholder stuff. You know, so if you guys are interested in how this level was built, well, obviously it started out with a cube, right? You pick your cube and you change over to your resize tool here, and you can scale the cube any which direction you want. You can make the wall as thick as you want or thin. Then there is a pillar that I made in here. So this is your little pillars. There is a ramp in here that you guys can manipulate, change, rotate, do whatever it is you want to do with it. So size it, scale it. This is the crate, right? But keep in mind, this is not the blueprint crate, right? You can't put weapons on this crate. This is just the mesh that it uses. The turret is split apart into 3 different pieces, right? But in the blueprint, it's pre-assembled so that you don't have to do that, and it will rotate the, you know, the turret, the barrel, left, right, up, down as it's shooting at players. But this is all the placeholder stuff. That's the door that I used in the elevator, in the door. This is the frame, right? But it's all pre-assembled in the blueprint. So that's just the basic crappy little meshes that I used to put this level together. All placeholder stuff. This ain't about levels. It's about the mechanics that control all these things. And then of course you have some weapon meshes in here, all placeholder low poly stuff. So these don't even have any normal maps or any of that stuff, but it's got one bone in the skeleton, right? Just one single bone. It's low poly. But there are, you know, all the little placeholder weapons are in here. You guys would definitely be wanting to replace these with legit weapons, right? But this is good enough for the placeholder stuff. And that's it, guys. So this is part 1. I'm sure there'll be another video or two about the manipulation of this template. But this is enough here to get you guys started. Now, once again, this is not these videos that I make for these products. This is not, hey, how was this made? That's not what these are about. They're not, well, how do I add this to it? Right? They're not. This is to explain to you guys how to manipulate what is already contained in this template. So we covered a lot of ground in this video, and there'll be one more where we'll focus on, all right, so now I don't want to be the gray dude anymore. I want to use a legitimate character mesh. How do I do that? We'll cover that, which will also cover how you change the meshes out for the enemies. Exact same process, really. And then we'll probably cover, okay, so now I want to use a legit weapon mesh, not this crappy placeholder weapon mesh. And, you know, how to change the muzzle flash out to use a different muzzle flash and all that stuff. So with that, I appreciate you guys that buy this template. Thank you very much for that. And look for the other videos and make sure you watch them all if you own this product. So with that, you guys take care. This is John Galt, and we We'll see you in another video in another time. Have a good one, fellows.